The beloved of Allah ﷺ during his Hajj gave certain amazing khutbahs. And among those khutbahs, one point was highlighted. Imagine in every khutbah. That's how important is this aspect of our deen. That the beloved of Allah ﷺ in every discussion, at every plane, in the planes of Hajj, the beloved of Allah ﷺ repeated these words. Among those words were, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said this repeatedly, Inna dima'akum wa amwalakum haramun alaykum ka hurmati yawmikum hadha fi shahrikum hadha fi baladikum hadha. Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked Sahabar radiallahu anhum, what day is this? Whether it was the day of Arafah, then on Muzdalifah, then in Mina. When he asked, what day is this? Sahaba radiallahu anhum thought that maybe he's going to say something else, maybe he'll call it something else. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He says, isn't this the sacred day of Arafah? What month is this? And what lands are these? So Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam reminded them that this is the same as you know. These are places of great sacrilege and importance and sanctity. These are noble places, and everyone understands this. Then he said, like we understand that these lands are blessed and sacred, these months are sacred and blessed, and these days are most blessed and sacred. In the same way, Allah's Nabi said, in the same way, each person's blood is honored and sacred, meaning we have no right to shed the blood of the next. And each one's wealth is sacred. No one has the right to usurp the wealth of another. So amazingly, Islam is not only teaching us to fulfill the rights of Allah, which is understood, but like other religions, it's just a little bit about worship and there's nothing else. But Islam is a way of life, and it even teaches us we have no right to usurp someone else's haqq. His monetary haqq, what is due to him, his wealth is his, I have no right to usurp it. Unless he happily wants to give. So each one's wealth is honored and revered, and it is his haqq or her haqq. And then the hadith says, وَأَعْرَاضَكُمْ, and each one's honor is sacred. What is meant by each one's honor being sacred? It means we have no right to look down upon another of Allah's creation, irrespective of his color, his race, his nationality, his language, his background. We have no right to deem ourselves better than another. This was Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's prioritized. This was his highlight in every leg of the journey of Hajj. In the next report of Bukhari Sharif, خطبنا يوم النحر on the 10th. أيها الناس أي يوم هذا؟ قالوا يوم حرام. قال فأي بلد هذا؟ قالوا بلد حرام. قال فأي شهر هذا؟ قالوا شهر حرام. Then he repeated the same words and sentiments. فإن دماءكم وأموالكم وأعراضكم عليكم حرام كحرمة يومكم هذا في بلدكم هذا في شهركم هذا. And he repeated this respect for every person to such an extent that he even looked at the Kaaba. He said, Ma atyabaki, how pure are you? How sacred are you? But how honorable is the mu'min? Like the Kaaba has to be respected, but the honor of the next has to be respected. That's why this is something every one of us have to learn. How to respect every person. How to respect every Muslim. Irrespective of his color, of his background. He's an ummati of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And before that, he is a creation of Allah. خَلَقَكُمْ وَصَوَّرَكُمْ فَأَحْسَنَ صُوَرَكُمْ. Allah made every person beautiful. Now when we judge a person because of anything about him, the way Allah made him, the natural way Allah made him, that means we are objecting to the way Allah made someone. That's why we have to learn to love every person. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam brought brotherhood on this aspect, where his first efforts in Medina Munawwara was to create the system of brotherhood. A Muhajiri and Ansari, brothers. One Sahabi from Makkah different background, different family. Another was a revert. All were reverts. Another was from Medina. He just became Muslim more recent. Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam made them brothers. And throughout his life, even imagine on the occasion of Fath Makkah, then in Hajjatul Wada', the same Sahabi was on Rasulullah's camel. I'm going to ask you who's this Sahabi. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam enters Makkah Mukarramah, he had this Sahabi on the camel with him. Then in Hajjatul Wada' from Arafah, on the 9th, Arafah, the day of Arafah, waiting for Maghrib, because the Haji at Maghrib, when the sun sets, the Haji doesn't perform Maghrib at Arafah. Maghrib is performed with Isha at Muzdalifah. So everyone, the entire entourage of Hajj is awaiting Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's departure. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam leaves Arafah, then we're all going to leave. But something is delaying Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Who is he waiting for? And everyone was interested to see, who is this person who's so special? Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is awaiting him. And finally Hazrat Usama bin Zayd appears. And Allah's Nabi alights him, gives him a ride on his conveyance with Janabi Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, on the same conveyance. The same Sahabi on the occasion of Fath Makkah, the same Sahabi on his camel, on this occasion from Arafah to Muzdalifah. Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was showing the world. And this Sahabi was a Sahabi from Africa. His mother hailed from Africa. So the color of his skin was like his mother. He was black skin. And his father was Arab, Zayd bin Haritha, radiyallahu anhu. And his mother was Ayman. So what was this Sahabi's name? Usama bin Zayd, radiyallahu anhu. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, not only did he say in Hajjatul Wada', and this was also another sentiment repeated in Hajjatul Wada', not only did he say that La fadla li'arabiyyin ala ajamiyyin wala li'ajamiyyin ala arabiyyin wala li'ahmara ala aswada wala li'aswada ala ahmara illa bittaqwa, or kama qala an-nabiy sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not only did he say these sentiments, these words, but he showed it practically. That's why there were few who just embraced Islam and commented. We all had to wait for him. And historians write that such people who commented such against a Sahabi radiyallahu anhu lost their iman later on, and they also became murtad. So Allah Ta'ala give us this quality, to love all of mankind, to such an extent that even non-Muslims, don't belittle them, don't look down upon them. Hazrat Maulana Qasim Sima rahmatullahi, one day the same road, he was traveling with some students, and they started giggling. So Hazrat looked in the rear and found them laughing. So he asked them, why do you laugh? They said, Hazrat, look at this despicable sight. These people in their drunkenness, swaying and collapsing and falling. It looks so despicable. So Hazrat said, don't laugh at them. Thank Allah who saved us from being like that, and make dua for them. So when we see anybody in a pitiable state, in a bad condition, thank Allah who you and I could have been in the same situation. Don't look down upon him, but make dua for him. Ya Allah, save us from that state, but help him also. Take him out of drugs also. Take him out of alcoholic drinks also. Take him out from what he is in also. Don't look down upon him. Because if you and I are staying away from that, it's not of our own accord. We can fall, our children can fall, our families can fall. That's why we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help all the time. There was a great scholar, Abu Abdullah al-Andalusi. Study this great scholar's life. He was traveling with his students, and at one stage he just lost his iman. He fell in love with a Christian woman. It's a lengthy incident in history where he fell in love with her and he proposed for her in marriage and she refused. And then her father said that if you leave Islam and you start tending to this flock of swines, then you'll get my daughter's hand in marriage. And imagine, he succumbed to that. Later on, years later, when his students came back for him and begged him to come back, and he looked down memory lane and he made tawbah, but he realized that I passed those Christians and I looked at them with hatred and detest. And Allah tested me that you think you can stay away from that on your own. So not look down upon anybody, but ask Allah for their hidayat. Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq. Let's make our studies, inshallah. These are Mubarak nights. Every night is Mubarak, every day is Mubarak. Let's all try and fast. Let's try and spend the night in ibadat, spend the time in the masjid after our studies, and study also with the niyat of ibadat. Our studies is the greatest of ibadat. Just make that intention, and then we'll enjoy our studies, inshallah. What we don't know, we learn. Don't feel shy to read, improve. Anything we learn. Last hadith I'll share with you. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Abu Dharr Ghifari radiallahu anhu's hadith, in Sunan ibn Majah, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if you learn one bab of ilm, Allah gives you reward of 1,000 rak'at of salah. Now we're going to make mutala'ah. Make this intention. لَإِنْ فَتَعَلَّمَ بَابًا مِنَ الْعِلْمِ. Your intention is to practice it. عُمِلَ بِهِ أو لم يعمل بِهِ. You're still going to practice it. كُتِبَ كَأَنَّكَ صَلَّيْتَ أَلْفْ رَكْعَةٍ. And if you memorize one ayah of the Quran, respected his students and all of us, you get the reward of 100 rak'at of salah. Allah give us tawfiq.